have a quorum. We'll call the planning board meeting to order. And pursuant to Chapter 22 of the Acts of 2022, as amended, this meeting is being conducted in a remote Zoom format. The public has been provided with adequate alternative means of access via Zoom, as noted in the posted meeting notice, along with access and participation instructions. As chair, I hereby notify all participants that this meeting is also being recorded by the Town of Hadley Media and will be made accessible to the public in accordance with Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20F. Any person who intends to record or transmit this meeting must inform the chair at this time. Anybody going to do that? No. Okay. Those in attendance for the planning board are myself, Jim Maximowski, Joe Zagrodnik, Bill Dwyer, Mark Dunn, and Kishore Parmar. And Mr. Dwyer, let's see. First one up is Bank of America request for a pylon sign at 359 Russell Street. I believe that's Mr. Reedy.
It is. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll share my screen if Bill could allow, if you want to see it.
Let me Zoom changed its layout here. And let me see if I can do it this way.
In the name of progress, they disenfranchise us older Luddites.
Well, it's when they change it between meetings that gets to be a bit of a nuisance. Okay. Not going to get there that way. Let's see. Share. And I'll just allow you.
Okay, good. So I'm just sharing my screen. I think you can see it. A little bit of background. So we were here, I don't know, maybe it was a month ago at this point. And I think I'd say we tried to have our cake and eat it too. So there's an existing sign at 359 Russell Street, which is the former Vision Showcase in AT&T. It's about 18 feet tall, 17 feet 9 inches tall, and 48 and a half square feet in area. And then it's too close to the property line, but that's existing conditions. And so we had asked for to be in the same location, to stay internally illuminated, which is what it is, but to increase it to 64 square feet, which is what the bylaw allows. And you folks said you can either have 64 square feet and external illumination or stay at the 48 and a half square feet and internal illumination. And they chose the latter. So what you have here on the left side of your screen is the proposed signage, 48 and a half square feet, 17 feet 9 inches tall, and then it'll remain internally illuminated in that same area. They'll replace, because you can see the rust and the degradation of the pylon support, so they'll replace that, but it'll be the same area in the same location, still internally illuminated. So that's the request.
Okay. Future 10, I thought, so they aren't going to apply, use the whole building?
They are going to use the whole building. This was, the future tenant piece was a requirement of the landlord. So I don't know if they're just, they seem to think forward. They're a successful development group. So my sense was, this is what Bank of America wanted, the whole thing. They wanted the whole sign, and the landlord came back and said, no, we would like to preserve some space for a future tenant.
Right?
Yep.
That's all. Business decision.
Exactly.
Okay. Any comments or questions on the sign? Hearing none?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion second. Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Palmer, aye.
Zagradnik, aye. Motion passes 5-0.
Thanks, guys.
Very
Appreciate it.
good.
I'm probably going to stick around to see what Randy has to say in a little bit.
Okay. Next up is a approval of an exterior sign for Pop-Up Bagels at 7 South Maple Street. Somebody here for that?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do I have,
Let me share my screen. There we go. Everybody can see that?
yes.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody. My name is Matt. I'm representing Artifacts, who is handling this for Pop-Up Bagels and WS Development. I'm just going to scroll here. We're proposing a wall sign for the new tenant Pop-Up Bagels at this location. This is a day-night view here. And then if I scroll a little bit farther, this is the construction drawings for it. So this is consistent with every sign that is in this development, approved by the landlord. I'm happy to answer any questions or go back if anybody has questions.
How big is the sign?
The sign is
Yeah, I'm sorry, never mind.
No.
160 times 36.
It's down in the lower right-hand corner of the image.
40 square feet.
Yep.
Do you know what was in there previously?
I do, off the top of my head, I do not know who the tenant was.
And this is going to be just service of bagels, or are they going to be preparing bagels on site?
Yeah, it's almost like a specialty bagel place, so they only have about 4 or 5 different options. So I believe it's prepared on site, and there's a bunch of different options for cream cheese and whatever you may enjoy on bagel.
So this is the building sign. Will there be any roadside sign on this?
As of right now, no.
Okay.
You mentioned the number Russell Street. Is that in the mall area?
7 South Maple.
It's between Mattress Firm and the new restaurant we approved a month ago.
So it's where the old Manny's used to be, right near Dave's Hot Chicken.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I'll make-
Lighting internally illuminated or
Halo lit,
Yes, halo lit.
backlit, halo lit. Yeah.
okay?
I'll make a motion to waive further site plan approval for change of use and approve sign as presented.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Dunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Palmer, aye.
Rodnick, aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Good luck.
everybody.
Motion approved. Next one is the A&R plan for Hampshire Mall and Trader Joe and Chase Bank.
That's me.
That's you.
That's me. Surprise.
How did Mr. Attorney Reedy get out of that one?
Well, I could let him
have
do
to
it.
pay big bucks, Jim.
And because Randy's better looking.
Oh, geez.
Okay.
Mr. Dwyer, would you be so kind?
All right, let's see what I can do here. How's that?
That is lovely. Thank you so much. So you guys saw this plan 2 or 4 weeks ago. I don't know when. Mr. Reedy can help with that. But anyhow, this is the 2 lots that you granted a access over other than frontage for. It's been talking about this property for quite some time. So we have 2 lots, one with the Chase, Chase Bank, and one with Trader Joe's on it. They both meet all the zoning criteria, 200 feet of frontage, 150 foot square, 40,000 square feet minimum. So it's all there. And again, you've granted a special permit for access over other than frontage. So this is the finalization of that.
Okay. Any comments or questions? Hearing none?
I'll make a motion to find this, to sign the approval not required.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion. Somebody second it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Second.
Okay, you got a second? Any other discussions? If not, roll call vote.
Done. Aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Farmer, aye.
Grodnick, aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okie dokie.
I'll give you a call in the next couple of days, Jimmy, so we can get it signed.
Okay, yeah. Let's see. Request for approval of replacement sign at 367 Russell Street for Cinemark. Somebody here for that one?
Yes. Hi, Larry Bork. I'm filling in for Darcy Ray, who had made the original application. She's not able to participate tonight. Mr. Dwyer, if you could bring up the drawings that she submitted, that would be a big help.
Okay, I'll try, but we do prefer that you be able to share it yourself. I'll see if I'll go looking for them.
Well, if you could explain to me how to share my screen, I'd be happy to do that for you.
Launch, hit the share button at the bottom of the screen. Actually, it's easier if you open the file you want to share in the background on your desktop.
Yep, I got it.
Then click the share button in the bottom of the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you should be able to navigate to your open. There you go. That was faster than my looking through the emails for it.
I'll take your word for it because I can't see it. It's not coming up on my screen, but as long as you guys can see it, then we're okay. So are we okay as far as the screen share, Mr. Dwyer?
Well, we'll leave it up and see if anyone has any questions.
Oh, okay.
That's the same size sign as existing?
That's correct. What they're doing is replacing the existing FlexFace sign with a new FlexFace sign with the digital graphics of XD.
Okay.
So it's basically just a face replacement.
That is an externally illuminated sign, but it's existing,
It's
so it's a matter of refacing it.
I believe that one is internally illuminated with lamps.
Yeah.
That doesn't change.
Okay, and the image won't change. This is just,
Just the face.
yeah, okay. When you say flex face, that means something to you. It doesn't necessarily mean something to us. It's not going to.
Let me explain. It's not a hard plastic face. When you get to the larger size faces, that they use a flex face, which is a PVC vinyl and with a polyester in the middle of the 2 layers. It's translucent. That's why the XD will be illuminated by the internal lamps.
Now, on the top of the thing,
It's not a rigid face. It's flexible.
is that 184 or 134? Does that mean square feet? It's in written and
134 square feet. Yes.
That How much again is it?
134 square feet, and that's a
Okay.
double-faced pylon
Yeah.
sign.
That's fine, yep. I just couldn't tell if that was an 8 or a 3.
She has a very fancy writing.
Well, I've never seen square foot written like that. That's different. But anyways, that's beside the point. That's fine. Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Now that they're also asking to replace the Cinemax theaters on that pylon with a new sign that just says Cinemark, and it is LED illuminated.
Where is that sign?
Scroll.
That's right on that same ground sign. The upper portion of the
Oh,
ground sign.
I see above that. I'm sorry. Okay. On top of the XD that's written. Okay.
Instead of saying Cinemark Theaters, it's just going to say Cinemark, and it's going to be illuminated.
I think that is the next page on what you're sharing. You're sharing a 5-page document.
Sorry.
So if you, yeah, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, but that's not illuminated. That's just,
The
I don't believe the Cinemark is illuminated, correct?
Cinemark will be internally illuminated with LEDs. Yes, sir.
Is that
Yes.
illuminated today?
Yeah. Let's see what if I can tell.
I don't believe it is.
Yes.
It,
It is?
Yes, sir.
So is that 134 square feet, including the Cinemark?
That is the. Let me see if I can. Sorry. Yeah, the 134. The Cinemark is 46.7 square feet. That's slightly smaller than the Cinemark theaters. So the new Cinemark sign, while it looks larger, it's actually smaller in total.
So I just want to get this straight. So it's 134 square feet plus the 46.7.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay.
The one thing I did not get from Darcy, but looking at what she submitted, apparently there are two options, either to repaint that ground sign with the existing color, or as you can see in this page, to change that to a new Sherwin-Williams anonymous paint. I don't know where they come up with these paint names, but do you have any preference as to should they keep the same color, or is it okay to repaint it with the new gray color?
I mean, they're both kind of, if you would, I don't want to call it neutral, but I mean, they're kind of earth tone colors, I believe. I don't have a preference. I don't know if anybody else does. Board members, anything?
No preference.
No, the gray is the new in color, so.
Isn't that the truth?
All right.
Yeah, it does not seem offensive in any way.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to request to replace a 134 square foot sign with a new facing and the new 46, or replace the also 46.7 Cinemark and paint gray.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll call it the frame. Paint frame gray. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
So I'll make the motion, but I want to, since you're sort of pinch hitting here, I would really like to verify that the current Cinemark theaters is internally illuminated. So I will make the motion to approve the signs as presented on the condition that we obtain verification that the Cinemark Theaters is internally illuminated.
Okay, I will check with
Is,
Darcy when she returns to work. Who do I contact to give you that information?
The same address she's been using, planning@hadleyma.gov.
Okay. Say that again, slower. Planning.
Planning@hadleyma.gov.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, got a motion second. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Gunn, aye.
Dwyer, aye.
Maximowski, aye.
Palmer, aye.
Roddick, aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Very good. Thank you. Good luck.
Who seconded that one?
I think it was Kishore, wasn't
It
it?
was me. Yeah,
Sure.
for sure.
Right. Okay, next up on the item is the discussion of the 55 and over bylaw. I'm going to put that one off for just a bit, Randy, so we can just take care of the next two in case there's anything.
Sure.
Is anybody here to file anything? No. Okay. Any public or comments or questions about?
Yes. Hello. Hi, Jim. This is Doug Searle, Berkshire Design Group. Sorry, it took a moment to get the mic on. Yes, I'm here on behalf of Gordon Cook and Jake Marley with Hyperion Systems for the South Maple Street project that would have been heard this evening and hopefully closed this evening. I wanted to see, given that the special town election and the special election are bumping it back a month, I wanted to ask the board what their receptivity would be like to hold a special hearing to help close this project, to be able to, allow that project to continue to move forward.
Well, the next 2 weeks is tight for me, so I will say no for the next 2 weeks. Then beyond that, going into June, what's the board's opinion? I mean, it is a special circumstance because of the elections. We can't hold public hearings. What is the board's opinion?
Yeah, the other factor is that June is a 5-Tuesday month, so if we are not able to wrap it up on the 16th, we'd be into the 7th of July before we could take it up again on our regular schedule. So I just looking through my calendar, and I don't have anything in particular for the second week of June, week of June 8th, if that works for everyone or anyone.
June 8th or June 9th?
Well, June 8th, the week of June 8th.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, all right.
So we don't have to go on a Tuesday if something else would be more convenient.
Okay. June 10th would be better for me if we can do it. That's a Wednesday. How does everybody else feel? I mean, I can change my schedule to something else if it has to be.
That's okay with me.
10th is fine with me. I believe the select board will be meeting the 3rd and the 17th, so it won't step on their toes.
That's correct.
No problem here. Mark and Keisha, any comments on that? That was okay with you?
Yeah, that should work.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay, wonderful. At the same time of 6:30, 6:45?
I think we'll do it at, we'll do the meeting for 6:30 and just start it at 6:30.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much for accommodating. This is much appreciated.
Okay.
It
Are
is.
you
Thank you.
meeting request on behalf of the rest of your company for anything?
No, the other, as we spoke on the phone, the senior housing project, 42 Middle Street is actually already scheduled for the 16th of June.
What's the date again, Jim? I'm writing it down here.
June 10th?
June 10th at 6:30.
Okay.
Okay, well, great. Well, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. We'll look forward to talking with you on the 10th.
Okay. This will be for both of the public hearings?
Pardon?
This will be, I believe there's what, Cook and, there was two of them, right?
No, Sovereign Builders, I just asked about that. Sovereign Builders is content to stay on the 16th.
Okay,
That's correct.
okay. All right, very good.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Anybody else, anything on public hearings or applications?
So we do have our new town administrator with us, and I don't know if this would be a good time or maybe sort of public comment, discussion without taking any action.
Oh,
Nate?
for the, yes. Nate, this would be a good time to talk about the, you raised a topic?
Sure, am I visible for everyone? And
No.
audible?
No camera.
No camera. No camera.
Blank screen.
Yeah, my light's on my computer. It's the laptop. Let me just see what we have. Oh, it is a blank screen.
But you have a voice, Nate.
Yeah, no, I feel
Welcome to Hadley.
I have found that, especially if you haven't used Zoom on this computer a lot, that there is a separate Zoom preferences settings on the first Zoom menu, where you have to select your audio and video from within Zoom as well as for your computer as a whole.
yeah, I thought I just said automatic, but it doesn't seem to be working.
No, that's okay.
Yeah,
So, wait, why don't you just tell us what you want to talk about? For everybody's information that may not know this,
Sure.
especially people
I think everyone.
watching on YouTube this meeting. Nathan Malloy is our new town administrator. He started a whopping week ago or 2 weeks ago. And he is basically, he's introduction to Mr. Malloy. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Nate Malloy, the new town administrator. Yeah, I had asked to be on the agenda just to speak about the potential, what's happening with the Hampshire land in Hadley. So there's, approximately 260 acres. Kestrel Land Trust put out a statement with the trustees of reservation. And so, there's nothing explicit in that other than they're looking at acquiring land that's peripheral to the campus, so not part of the core campus. And my understanding is that, they look to possibly purchase all the land in Hadley, for mostly conservation purposes. And my, bringing it up to you tonight is to ask, if there's any ideas or suggestions you would have, I can relay to Kestrel or others. Again, there's no plans or anything at this moment. It was just the statement they issued. And so, it is a lot of acreage. And so it's just a matter of, if there's any, like I said, even concerns or other things, you feel free to relay that to me tonight or an email, and I can pass that along.
I believe that all of the Hadley property they own is in the agricultural residential district. The solar field is in Hadley, but it's not accessible from Hadley. It's only accessible through the campus from the Amherst side.
Right.
And then the Buildings and Grounds Department is in Hadley, and they only exist by reason of the Dover Amendment in support of the college. So I don't see a lot of concern of immediate drastic change.
Agreed. Yeah, I think, some of the ideas were south of Bay Road with that field, could it remain active agriculture, and could there be an opportunity for improved recreation access, whether that's, off-street parking or anything. Yeah, I don't have any, like I said, I don't have any ideas here. Just to let you know that could be happening. There's just an article in the paper. There's nothing will be disclosed publicly until there's probably more decisions being made by the college. But
Okay. All right. If anybody has any ideas on it or questions, you can email the select board or Nate Malloy. His email is on the town website as administrator.
great,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Reiser, discuss the affordability requirement of the over 55 bylaw.
Okay, so I have no answers for this. I was thinking about it after the last meeting with Berkshire Design and Todd Solora. The project just north of the existing senior center, and the consultant basically said that, and Todd Solora as well, said that it's basically impossible to build affordable housing in these types of developments without giving them away, losing money, et cetera, et cetera. And I think we've heard similar comments from Mr. Roberts. So the thing that got me after thinking about the financial state of the town and just doing some quick numbers on the 34 units that are proposed, we're looking at minimally somewhere between $250,000 and $300,000 in tax revenue that we have the potential to lose because this developer, any developer, can't make it work due to the cost of construction. So I was hoping we could brainstorm, and not necessarily tonight, but come up with a way that, we had payment in lieu with Barry on the first project. I know that's not on the planning board's appetite right now to do again, but is there, I'm thinking about this, is there a transfer of affordability rights thing we could come up with somehow where somebody's got some land that they could, put some affordable units on if they got subsidized from this money? Again, I don't have answers. I just think it's going to be a travesty if we lose that kind of tax revenue.
Well, we've got an affordable housing trust that we've got some money in, but I doubt it's enough to offset what they would lose on this amount of housing.
We've gone through this argument many times with Barry, and they claimed they just couldn't do it with it, and so they came up with the Affordable Housing Trust Fund money. But it didn't help us at all, and I think we got taken to school on that one. So that's the reason that I feel, and I know Jim feels that way, that somehow they have to come up with some affordable housing. If we reduce the percentage of it by a couple of houses, that may be a possibility, but I don't see how any town is made a decision. Hatfield's coming up with an affordable housing trust fund as well. How are the other towns doing it? Randy, have you heard?
I don't know, but I did ask Nate to come on this just to talk about this because Amherst has bylaws that address this stuff, and so he may have some insight into it.
Amherst apparently has a very robust payment in lieu because Barry Roberts wrote them a check for $1 million.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, Nate here. I think I figured out my video. Yeah, I think the difference being Amherst is a tiered approach, and it usually only takes into account, certain projects. So subdivisions, cluster subdivisions, and others are exempt from providing, affordable units. And 15% is a really high percentage. So years ago, we had Judy Barrett and another consultant from PVPC look at what is the right percentage, and it's really difficult to say what is the right percentage given market conditions. So Amherst is 10 or 12%, and it's a tiered approach. Once you get up to so many units, it's a 12%. But for some communities, maybe it's only to me it'd be like, well, let's get a 10%, stay above 10% for the SHI, but maybe exempt smaller projects given the cost per unit. And so, in Amherst, before I left, we were talking about we have projects that had one affordable unit, and there's a cost to the developer and owner of that in terms of marketing, the deed restriction, and there's discussions of like, well, is this worth it? I mean, it's a lot of effort, and so could we have a higher AMI? So maybe it's not a deed restricted unit that gets on the subsidizing housing inventory from the state, but still provides some affordability. And so again, we do have a big payment in lieu, but it's something that could be opted into by a developer. And the idea is that it was somewhat of a disincentive. The idea would be, let's try to get a unit built, but we have, a different threshold in terms of when you have to actually apply and create affordable units. I think that's the tricky part, is what's that threshold? Because, if you have a high threshold, you might actually be deterring development because people can't meet it. And so you don't get any units, whether it's affordable or market rate. And so it's finding that balance.
We're not up against the 8 ball yet as far as affordability. We have 11.9% of our housing is deemed affordable. We are the highest in Happy Valley. And so I don't think we're in the danger zone of having someone come in with a project that's going to overrule local zoning, but we still have to be aware of the number. So if we that's the critical part.
That,
Just
echoing with Joe's.
I just want to explain where the 15% came from. I mean, the 15% came out of, there was, subdivisions going in, small subdivision, very small subdivisions, 5 lots, 4 lots, whatever it might be. And those are all adding to the housing inventory. And there wasn't any affordable units coming into town. So the idea of the 15% was that we would be able to maintain our existing affordability percentage, and the extra few percent would keep us above the 10%. Since then, we've had, and there are quite a few, several on, or at least one on the books, where our affordability will raise a little bit when they get through with the units over in the former across from Staples.
Econoline.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to call them. And so, maybe dropping the percentage to something would be a starting point to help with the affordability idea it would still help us maintain inventory, but it wouldn't make it so painful on developers.
The bylaw also allows a developer to provide the 15% off-site, but in Hadley.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be some synergy opportunities. We have not seen Mr. Roberts' project for Rocky Hill Road yet, North Maple Street. If we have two developers who could combine forces to put up some affordable housing elsewhere, might be a win-win. That would not require going back to town meeting to change the bylaw.
Okay. Well, I think that based on, and I'm sure Mr. Reedy will agree with this, anybody you talk to that's a builder, you're talking $400 a square foot to build something if you're lucky these days. So, a 1,500 square foot house is $600,000. And I don't know what the threshold is, what the dollar amount needs to be to make it affordable. But
Randy,
I don't believe.
Let me hop in
can-
right there and tell you. So it's, and Nate, you can jump in as well. So if you're going to sell it, like for these over 55s, mortgage, so principal plus interest plus utilities plus condominium cannot be more than 30% of 80% of the area median income, which results at, like, let's call it $175,000. Right? So you're at 600 to build, you're selling for 175. People aren't going to do it. I mean, you can't have enough, like with these single family things, and I think one of the differentiating factors is Amherst, and Nate, you can speak this, has apartments, right? So there's a lot of, it becomes more affordable the more density you have in the building, because just the costs are going to go down. So where Amherst has something like that, Hadley doesn't. And so when you have like a Solura project or like a BAB project, like what Barry's talking about, these are essentially single family, 2-family homes. You're not going to get the economies of scale that you are going to be with a single structure, 3-story, pick a number of units that you have. It's just not going to happen. And so I think it is a real issue, right? And I think what we need to hear, what developers need to hear is, what are you looking for, right? Is it money? And then the money goes into the Affordable Housing Trust. And then I think, Nate, again, where we've seen it successful in Amherst is partnering with a Valley CDC. And so instead of having, because you're not going to spend what did Barry give you before? $350,000? What do you get? One house with that? Now, and this is, pick a number, what is this, 8 years old at this point, but it's using that money to evidence support as necessary for Valley CDC or Wayfinders or others who are going to be doing these 40B projects. And then that's going to bring you well above the threshold, because 100% of those units count towards the subsidized housing inventory. So like if you're going to do payment in lieu, that's the way to do it. If you just want the units, there's probably a path there. I think 15% is probably pretty high. So sorry to interrupt, Randy, but that's the difference that we're talking about, right? It's like $400,000, let's call it.
Well, you both, everybody seems to be saying that the answer is for Hadley to make the concession. The concession can be made in many, many directions. For example, utilities could be reduced. The cost of electricity from Eversource, and I've got an all-electric house, is dramatically escalated. So why don't you come to that and say you're going to give them a break? The insulation in a house is, under the new building code, has to be extremely thick and expensive. You have to have a charging station for your Tesla. Go on and on and on. There are a lot of other things, but you're coming in to see Hadley as if we can reduce one little thing. That will not make that housing that much more affordable.
And I'm not suggesting, Joe, that Hadley concede because of that. I'm just pointing out the reality of it. That
that is true. The reality is there, and it is what it is. I mean, we can't make the decision. In fact, the state is overruling us on every decision practically that a local zoning planning board will make. They tell us what to do. They tell us we got to have an ADU in the backyard. They tell us that if we want more affordable units, that we don't need a 2/3 override. We only need a 50% override. I mean, as the zoning change. The state is okay.
Well, my big point, Joe, is that in the past year or 9 months, whatever it is that we've been talking overrides in this town, the big point is we've got to come up with ways to create more revenue. And again, to throw away $250,000 or $300,000 in tax revenue for something that is, in my opinion, impossible to provide from the builder's standpoint. And Tom alluded to something. I'm going to throw me in the pot, but it will never happen with me. But I have my property on Route 9. I have space in the back where I could probably put, complying with the zoning bylaw, 1,500 or 2,000 square foot footprint. So if there was money and somebody came to me and said, hey, I will give you X amount of dollars if you let me build this on your property, and I don't know how that would work. It'd probably be a disaster. But anyhow, that's the kind of stuff we got to be creative and come up with ways to do this, because I really think we're extremely limited in our ability to increase our tax revenue. I don't see the commercial base increasing tremendously, and these over 55 communities, I think, are great for the town, and they would bring in good money, but we can't make it impossible for them to be built because the builders will just walk.
Yeah, sorry if I may. What I see is the 15% and the small number of units. So on a 35 unit subdivision, at 15% it's 5 units. At 10% it's something different. But I think it's just but in Hadley it's much lower in terms of the entry. So you have to start providing affordable units really, really quickly. And so, Joe, to your point, right, Hadley is above the 10%. So if you said, any subdivision, any development under 30 units only has to provide one affordable unit, not even be a percentage point, and anything over that is the 12% or something. And having that kind of tiered approach would get some of these smaller developments. And so the concern would be that the 15% and the small number of units, once you hit a few units, you have to do the 15%. You're actually not seeing development happen because, like Tom said, they're not going to make it work. And so that the insulation, the energy costs, all that could be, say, reduce utilities down the road isn't the entry point. It's how can they afford and make up that $400,000 gap per unit on a purchase. And so it's very difficult. You could subsidize monthly things, but you can't actually defray that delta on that affordable unit. So, I think there's many ways to do it. I'm just saying, could there be a way to encourage some of the smaller developments, as Randy's saying, so not to lose some tax revenue?
Well, Nate, I mean, the other people have heard me say this many, many times. Affordability in our area, because of, especially of the university, there are many, many houses in Hadley that I call them student stuffers. 6-8 students in a house. $1,000 a bed a month. That's what they're getting. You're not, if even those houses, they're not going to make housing affordable when you can build a house and put students in there. So that's the other thing. It's not just a single thing like electricity. We're in a unique position. UMass does not house all their students. So where are they going to go? There are a lot of them are living in Hadley.
Well, and again, Joe, that's reality, and we got to work around it somehow.
It is reality, and certainly, to quote a former president, oftentimes, yes, you're looking at it. We've got to generate more money so we can spend more money. Perhaps we have we don't have a revenue problem. We may have a spending problem.
We're not looking for more money to spend more money, Joe. We're looking for more money to keep status quo.
And maybe I'll say it. If you look at Amherst and they have apartments, right? And if you look at the assessed value of those apartments and what those apartments are bringing in, I think your budget problems are fixed. And I'm not saying spread them through town. I mean, you had been talking about a 40R. There's probably good places along Route 9, maybe even proximate to Amherst, that you allow apartments. Those buildings are going to be worth $10 million. Think of what that does for your tax rate. I mean, just what does that mean for tax receipts if you've got 3 of those buildings? You look at Amherst, I don't think they cut their budget. I mean, when you look at what they have, and they just did a revaluation this year, They had someone go through and look to revalue all of the apartments in Amherst, and they all went up because the market went up. I'm not trying to change the tenor of Hadley, but there's an opportunity without hurting the farmland or the residences or anything like that. Along Route 9. So.
But along Route 9 is probably the only viable thing, and I give you credit for recognizing the fact that development follows sewer lines, and that has a sewer line. But will Amherst, if we run out of capacity, will Amherst let us into the regional sewer plant that happens to be located in Hadley?
We're working on that, Joe, and that would have to be a viable thing before we could do anything that Mr. Reedy's proposing.
Okay.
Conceptualizing, Randy, not proposing yet. I'll get there.
Okay.
No, that's it's a reasonable conversation that we're having, and it's not an easy one.
Yeah, there's every we could sit here and discuss this all night long and not come up with any, something to think about. Best way to say this is, we're not going to come up with a solution tonight, but I would suggest we keep this on the standard agenda of other items to discuss, just in case we can bring it up in case somebody comes up with an idea or a good proposal at some point along the way. Because this is a very complex item. We could reduce it to 10%. Okay, but that's still 3 houses.
Right.
And that's still a heavy burden on the developer. If we went to 5%, well, that may not be so bad. Now you're talking 2 units. That might be a little bit easier to swallow on a 34-unit development. And those are, again, those are possibilities. I don't know.
Yeah, and the other thing to think about, Jimmy, is, you get the amount of development that's going to happen in this town of this caliber. I think we're winding down. I really don't see any place to put any residential subdivisions. The over 55 stuff seems to be what's driving the builders in this town right now, as far as more than a single house goes. So, we get 3 or 4 affordable units out of it. Is it really going to make a huge impact on our numbers? I realize one could be the straw that broke the camel's back. I get that. But the reality is that it's not that much, and weigh that against the loss of the tax revenue. That's my biggest concern.
But I want to congratulate Tom Reedy for mentioning the fact that the cost of apartment buildings is going up. And we are taxing apartments as residential units. And I don't think we go with the marketplace valuation from our assessor's point of view. That would be something for Randy to look into.
Well, I've already asked the assessor if any of our rental housing in this town can be qualified as commercial, and the answer is no. So they get residential value only, sadly.
No, well, let's talk about units that are going to be on Russell Street, for example. Will each housing unit, each apartment be a separate residential? And will
if you're building an apartment complex, Joe, is that what you're asking?
Correct.
I think it's the whole building, but I'm sure they factor in the number of housing units in there to determine its value.
And they'll look at income and expense, Joe, and then they'll back out. So I'm in abatement season right now, and appeals specifically in Amherst because they all went up. So they look at income and expense. They have a guy go through. They have a consultant go through and analyze the market to determine what the market trends have been. And then they apply a cap rate to see what fair market value would be that they assume for these units. If you file an abatement, they ask for income and expense for the past 3 years, which It is what it sounds like, right? And so income less expenses gets you to NOI. You do a loaded cap rate to figure out what the taxes would be, and then you come out with a value. Those value, like that's real money, right? You get 45 units, and you're talking about, $7 million of value, $7.5 million of value. There's a property that's 10.7 that has 36 units in it and 60 beds. So just to give you a sense of like where that's at, that's 36 units and $10 million.
That's a good tax. Thank you. Yeah.
Right by 1,000 and get your tax rate in. I've said it about Hadley is that, if you had used all of Route 9 and still were in a budgetary crisis, I'd say, oh boy, what are you guys going to do? But you have so much opportunity along Route 9 done appropriately. You just have to think of what that looks like. And I think, you can preserve what you want to preserve, develop what you want to develop, take care of the townspeople who have been there and provide adequate services. So I think you have a real opportunity.
Anybody else? Till we move on to the next one. Something to think about, something to contemplate.
It would be
Looking
nice.
for ideas, proposals, wild ideas even.
It would be nice
Okay.
if Jim.
Yep.
It would be nice if Boston could come up with some kind of a grant program. They want us to build more housing. They want affordable housing. Be nice if developers could get some kind of a grant, but I guess we'd have to go through our legislators for that. Our affordable housing trust is not the deep pockets that Beacon Hill is. So, but that's not going to happen tomorrow. So,
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Okay, on to the next one. The enlarging accessory dwelling units to something permitting the planning board to permit larger accessory dwelling units. I sent a draft around calling it secondary, what did I call it?
Secondary dwelling unit.
Secondary dwelling units.
Do you want me
And
to,
just to begin with, I'm proposing we put a whole separate section in the bylaw if we're going to do this, because if we try to somehow mix the word accessory dwelling unit with larger accessory dwelling unit, even if it's under the same section, it's going to get super confusing and people are going to make all kinds of incorrect assumptions. That's why I propose that we have a completely different section with a different name if we do decide to go with the larger over 900 square feet. That's all. That's my reasoning behind the new section.
do you want me to put it up on the screen and walk through it?
Sure.
so then that tiny house that got shot down 10 plus years ago could be built.
Tiny
now?
house would have no impact on this because a tiny house is not 900 square feet.
That would fall under the ADU bylaw, the state
Yeah.
ADU bylaw, Mark.
Yeah.
Okay.
Once again, that one did not have a foundation. It did not have any sewer connection. It did not have any direct water connection. It was a hose from a outside spigot. There was a lot wrong with that particular. It was a trailer.
Yeah, what I'm saying is the size would be allowed, not necessarily the way it was put
Oh, yeah.
together.
The highway, the water department board of health, I'm not quite sure who has put the words in, but or it might even be in the bylaw itself that you're going to have a bona fide water connection and a bona fide sewer or septic connection, depending where it is. Just a quickie on this one, I did make a small change to gross floor area. I forgot that we already had a description of gross floor area, so I made a few word changes there. I'll send out my changes to the gross floor area. It doesn't really change anything, but it just changes the description to be a bit more descriptive. Okay. Next, just go down.
So hang on, can you just hang on a second? Because I read through this several times. So I just want to, I tend to be picky about things. In the first paragraph, the last line, it shall consist of a kitchen, bath, bedroom. Should that be bedroom / rooms? Just because that's insinuating there's one bedroom.
Oh, I see. Okay, because I think we said we want a maximum of 2 bedrooms. All right.
Or you can put paren S paren after.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yep. Got that.
All right, and then in the gross floor area, I have a question as to when you say shall not include basement unless basement is designed to be used as occupied space. So what does that mean, occupied space? Can I have a basement and have a wood shop down there, or does that count as occupied space and I can't have it?
That would be the building codes.
Well, I think we need to get, we need an answer, because somebody will say, well, I built this basement and it's not, what do they call it? Living space? Is that used in the ADU?
I think building code's habitable space.
Okay.
I think it's by ceiling height and then an egress window, but I think it's in the building code it's habitable space.
So if I have the correct ceiling height and an egress window or door, that would be considered habitable space, as you understand it, Nate?
Right. Yep.
Well, the ADU does address that.
Yeah, that I'm aware, but this is different. So I just want to make sure that, again, we get it so that everybody understands it, especially me, because I want to do one of these if this bylaw passes.
So it's the verbiage of finished space, or would you say finished space?
Well, that's different. If he has a wood shop and that's a space that he can go down and spend hours working in it, but it's not, a man cave.
I guess we should try to get an understanding of how that can impact this, so that if a wood shop would be an allowed use, then we need to write the bylaw accordingly.
Okay.
Are we running this through PVPC?
Wait, say that again?
Well,
Has this been reviewed by PVPC?
no.
No, not at all. I don't want to have anybody review this till we know what we're talking about.
Okay.
And just quickly, a property that has the secondary dwelling unit would still also have to provide for a protected ADU. So I know this is by a special permit process, but in Amherst we looked at something similar, and so you still, any property that is allowed to have a protected use ADU can still have it. So even if you do allow a secondary, you could call this a secondary ADU, you still would have to allow a protected use. Just so everyone knows, someone could go through the process, get the secondary dwelling unit, and then 2 years later come and say, well, I want my protected use ADU.
Yeah, I think we talked about this, like them popping up like mushrooms, that you could do an ADU and then do another ADU. Is there a limit?
There's no way to stop this, Nate? There's no way to just say that you can have only one or the other?
No, we tried. And so I think, they are expensive, right? An ADU, although it's smaller, it's not, to me, it's an investment. I don't think an owner would go through the effort. I don't know, maybe they would. I can't speak for that, but it's not like it's $100,000 to build an ADU. It's to me, it's a big investment. I think having the owner occupancy provision and having this permit process is, as good as, is a really good things you can have. And then that stays with the property. So if someone did this first and then try to get a protected use ADU, my understanding is they can't then try to take the owner occupancy requirement away because it's part of this permit process. So again, you'd have that safeguard of having an owner occupied property, even if it doesn't.
In that event, would it be cleaner if this was part of
accessory
the
dwelling units on it?
Would it be cleaner if this was part of the ADU? If it was part of the ADU bylaw, saying you can either have your you can have your mandatory one, or you could have one bigger if you go by special permit.
You can't say or. It would have to be and. So any property that meets the state regulations, so any principal, a principal dwelling unit in a single family zone district is allowed a protected use ADU, even if they already have another, like, we'll call it local ADU on it.
Yeah, I think that's the case. However, most of this, that will only apply if they're on a sewer system. Most of Hadley's residences do not have sewer. Therefore, they're going to be limited by the number of bedrooms they can have, so that the chance of having a primary unit, a secondary dwelling unit, and then applying for an accessory dwelling unit, there are cases, don't get me wrong, but they're going to have an awfully big building lot.
Right. If the septic is going to be the limiting factor, number of bedrooms you can have. So that's,
Correct.
That's.
So,
right.
I mean, it might happen, but there's going to be few of those.
So I'll say that makes this less attractive to me. Now, if we can't do one or the other,
I think if you have an SDU and then you're going to do an ADU, I'm less concerned about it because the owner's on the property.
And so the state allows communities to be more permissive with your protected use ADU. You don't have to cap it at the 900 or half the gross floor area. There are a few communities that would allow it to get to 1100, but then you can't have the owner occupancy provision because it's the protected use ADU. So, it's a.
No, I could see Randy's case where he, his house becomes his daughter's. He does the SDU.
Right.
And now I don't know, maybe in his case isn't good. Maybe he was going to sell the primary house, for $1, but let's say he was renting it and he's in the SDU. He could still have an ADU. He could have 2 rental properties as long as the owner's on the property.
Right.
Is my thought, is that cuts down on the party animal.
Mark, I don't believe we can designate owner occupied.
If you build the SDU, I don't think you lose the owner occupancy if you then go do an ADU. The SDU has to be owner occupied.
But then again, look at the situation. It's probably a funeral away from the owner occupied no longer living there. Then what happens?
It's in the bylaw. Jimmy has a provision that if you sell the house, you either have to you write a letter to the building inspector saying, I want to keep this and I'm going to be owner occupied, or you lose it.
Yeah, or you could write in that they have to record a restriction at the registry,
which I believe is in there.
Yep.
So that if you buy it, you have to occupy one of the properties.
So Jimmy, you do have the provision of the size of a lot further down.
That is true.
20,000.
I've also added one under, go down, Bill.
Hey, hang on a sec. I'm having a little screen trouble here.
Anyways, in section 31.2, I've added another item that the primary house must be at least 2,200 square feet if you're going to have a secondary dwelling unit.
But the size of the lot,
Size of the lot is in there, 30,000
Yeah.
square foot minimum.
Bill,
okay, that's a good move there. Otherwise, you'd have to be on sewer.
Yeah, that'd prevent Joe from filling up his yard.
You're right. If I add on a bit more, I'll be right in the cemetery. Well, that's probably where I'll end up anyways, but never.
I'm sorry, now I have it back now. What were we looking for?
Right, stop. I added a section 32.2.2.11. It's just that it says that the
this is still 31.
existing primary principal residence must be a minimum of 30,000 square feet. I mean, 2,200 square feet. I'm sorry, not 30. 30,000 is the size of the building lot.
Okay,
Yeah.
So just-
31.2.7 has that the SDU shall only be constructed on a building lot of 30,000 square feet or larger.
okay. Just going back, in 31.2.2, your last item is numbered 32 instead of 31.
Typo error. Thank you for correcting that.
And that line can probably go away anyhow, because that's a redundancy from 31.2.2.6.
Yes, it is.
How much different is this to our flag lots?
Pardon?
You're gonna need a separate driveway.
No,
Not necessarily.
no. Doesn't say that. You can use the existing driveway.
Could have a shared.
That's gonna be kind of tough.
It depends on the site, Joe.
Yeah.
I agree. So
1,200 square feet. Do we want to? Would you? I mean, you say 2 bedrooms max. Would you have 3 bedrooms? I mean, again, the septic would regulate, but
Yeah, to me, 2 bedrooms should be more than enough for what we're trying to do here.
yep. All right.
Yeah.
I think the difference, Joe, between this and flag lot is that this is in common ownership. A flag lot is separately marketable. And the SDU would not be separately marketable unless you went to the effort of setting up a condominium for a 2-unit condominium, I guess.
well, we've gone through that before, haven't we? Okay.
And then there's just a little bit more.
Yeah, a lot of this wording is taken from our original 8 accessory dwelling unit bylaw that we had to take out some of the words.
Jim, or Randy, I asked the question before. Sunderland has an ADU bylaw and it's 950 square feet. And someone from Sunderland said by enlarging it slightly, you get some kind of concession. And the guy who wrote the bylaw used to work for Pioneer Valley Planning Commission, who lives in Sunderland. So I was wondering what it would be that concession, or did they just put in a bigger number?
Now, as I understand it, and Nate would probably know better, you qualify for some kind of grant pool.
Yep. We'd have to ask PVPC on that once we finalize if we want to go forward with this and see what they have to say on that comment. I don't know.
But so I have a couple of more things I'd like to ask questions on. 31.2.2.4.
Point 2.2.4.
31.2.2.4.
Include a garage designed for one car?
Yes. What's your rationale for that, Jimmy?
What line are you looking at again?
31.2.2.4.
SCU may include a garage designed for one car.
Yes.
My thought there is somebody's going to be putting in a 1,200 square foot secondary unit. They may want to put their car undercover.
Yeah.
So I'm simply saying that you can put a garage that can only be for one car.
Okay, and
opposed to 2-car garage or 3-car garage.
And why not a 2-car garage?
Why would we allow it? I'll ask you that one.
Because if there's 2 people living there and they have 2 cars, I mean, if I do this, it's going to be in the next couple of years, and I'm going to have a vehicle. My wife will have a vehicle, and granted, mine always stays outside anyhow. So
I'm simply saying that if you're putting up an SDU,
yeah,
you're limited to 1-car garage. This is not going to look like another monster building on site. Trying to keep it simple. That's where I'm coming from. I mean, it's a discuss. Nothing in here is locked into stone by any means.
Yep.
Every item here is debatable. So don't take it that I'm God here trying to throw a hammer down. This is
no, I'm not. I'm just asking you the question. What your thought process was for that?
That was my thought, that to keep this secondary dwelling unit within size limits of the property, so that it doesn't look like another big monster house on site. I mean, monster building. But
Okay.
And the assumption is that the garage square footage would not be counted in the SDU square footage.
That is correct.
Because it's not habitable. Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I mean, that could be something that's site specific. I don't know how, what kind of powers the board has in determining, because if I do this, it's going to be behind my house.
Right.
Nobody's really going to see it. But whatever. I mean,
yeah, I could see saying to a maximum of 2-car garage if concealed behind the house, off the main view.
And like I said, these are all discussable items.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. And then the 31.2.2.9, where you have a maximum interior height of the basement of 6 feet. I would assume that a basement could be used for storage. And if we had it, so I think the max height is 6'7" in the building code, or 6'8". I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But if we could just at least comply with the building code, I think that would
my
be.
idea behind the 6 feet. A 6 feet cannot be habitable space.
Right.
So therefore, if it's 6 feet, they can use it for storage. They can make a decent room out of it downstairs for like storage. They could use it, stuff like that, but it would never be considered habitable. So there's not going to be any debate. Somebody puts in a 6'6" cellar or 7-foot cellar, and they say, well, I'm just going to use it for storage. And you turn around, and a little while later, it's now a bedroom or something else. If it's forever 6 foot tall, it can never be utilized as habitable. That was the reason for that number.
Okay. All right, and then the last question I had was 31.2.5 regarding a site plan, and you're asking for all interior and exterior changes, and I was just curious to know the reasoning behind that one.
I'm not sure why I should say interior. Should just look for exterior changes of the building and property.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, good question. I think I copied that from somewhere. That's why.
Okay.
I would like to go back to 31.2.4, the definition of owner. I do a lot of work with LLCs that own owner-occupied property or trusts that hold property for the benefit of the owner. I don't have magic wording, but that's going to need that definition needs some work.
And I'm assuming that by saying primary, that means you're there more than 50% of the year.
Well, 31.2.3 calls for 11 months out of any 12-month period.
Ah. So you can't go on vacation. Okay.
Not for more than a month.
Well, students are here for only 26 weeks.
Well, they're not going to own them, Joe.
Yeah, you'll be surprised.
Mommy and daddy, right?
You're exactly
Well,
right. The
Cool.
smart
What was which one were you talk about with owner?
31.2.4.
Okay.
So even though it says one or more whom reside on the premises, you don't think that's definitive enough, Bill?
The individual or individuals whose names appear on the deed as owner. So if I have a situation where I am the grantor, I'm the creator of the trust, it's a revocable trust, but I choose to have my son be the trustee of the trust, my name doesn't appear anywhere.
Okay.
But I am the owner.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So as I said, I don't have magic wording for it at the moment, but there are situations where that would be awkward to apply.
Okay.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, like I said, this is.
You can't be a beneficiary of the trust either.
Bill, sorry to your point though, do you want to allow a trust or LLC to be an owner in this instance?
Yeah, I would think so.
You would have
A secondary dwelling unit, or do you not?
If I put my home into something creatively named, like the Ryan Family Trust,
right?
Part of the reason I want to do it in trust is I don't want it to be everyone's business what the terms are.
Right.
But I would still, there would just be a situation where I would be sometimes it would say to William Dwyer as trustee of the trust, but that does not establish that I am actually living there.
Right. Yep.
So it's just needs more thought. That's all.
Okay.
We all know it's easier to criticize these than it is to write them in the first place.
Oh,
The owner piece. The owner piece is really difficult. I agree. Yeah.
I see lawyer fees here.
Oh, we'll get it. We'll get it, Mark.
Okay. Other comments or questions? Don't be shy.
Okay, we're talking about the trust. I was just thinking of three of my friends I know had bought houses in Amherst area, including Hadley, and they had their kid go to school at UMass, and that kid had 4 friends that were living there, and she was collecting rent from the 4 friends. So, and nobody was keeping track of the cars that were parked on the lawn, nor keeping track of how many kids were in the building.
Yeah, well, I think that if this comes to fruition, a 1,250 square foot ADU is going to be $500,000. Add that to the value of the house that's already on the lot, which is going to be a minimum of, in this town, another $500,000. So now you got $1 million property, Joe. And granted, there are people out there who can afford to buy it, but they won't be beating the door down.
It must be the surveyor business is really good, because the first part of our conversation had to do with affordable housing. Now there seems to be no goal about the housing that I want to.
Again, it's reality, Joe.
I know.
If I could build it for $100,000, I would.
I agree. I totally agree with you. Oh yeah, you can't cut any trees down in your backyard and use that lumber anymore because it has to be stamped and come from Washington State or Canada.
You can build a shed with it, just not a house.
That's
Okay. Anything else right now?
Nice work, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Jim, for doing that.
I'll make the changes we did. I'll send it around. And, Bill makes a real good point on the owner, because to be honest, there's quite a few homes in Hadley that are in trusts. And people are living there that I'm not quite sure the word, but they built the house. They put their house in a trust for a variety of reasons, and they still live there. But they technically do not own the home they live in. It's owned by, I'm going to call it something else.
Yeah, an entity, a non-human entity.
Right. So, and in most of those cases, the person living there, their name, I guess Bill could explain this better, their name doesn't appear in the trust. So, but anyway. Okay, I said I'll make the changes and send it around, and sometime in the future we'll discuss it again.
All right, thanks, Jim.
I will leave it on the agenda as a standing item going forward.
Okay.
I don't know if we wanted to mention, I think everyone was at town meeting, and all of the zoning articles we proposed did pass.
Yes.
And I believe they are all off to the Attorney General for further review.
And credit is due to the masterful presentation by the chair.
Yeah. There was some good discussions on a couple of them, no doubt about them.
yeah. Who's up for re-election?
Sure.
Mr. Parmar,
You can see it.
congratulations. I think the polls are closed. Is that correct?
8 o'clock.
Yeah,
minute.
One more minute before you're declared the winner.
I predict a landslide victory.
For everybody in there, yeah.
I was there. I was there at 4 o'clock, and I was number 234. So turnout's not going to be too good.
Should not be a surprise to anybody.
No.
Keisha, you're either doing a fabulous, fabulous job, or people are watching this program and they say, no damn way would I ever want to go through that stuff again.
I did
That's
not.
more with the select board, I think. But in any case, well, don't forget to get sworn in tomorrow, Kishore.
Well, we'll see what happens. There might be
Huge
write-in.
Take an awful lot of write-in votes.
Can't count my chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
Right.
But I do have the balloons up. They will drop if it
Okay.
goes my way.
Let's see. Anything on 40R, Mr. Dunn?
We're going to meet tomorrow and hopefully wrap up anything else before we can bring it back here for this board's review?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do we have? Anybody have any other ideas for fall town meeting that we may want to look at? Don't need to answer right now, but if you do have anything, get them to Bill so he can distribute them.
How much do we have in the Affordable Housing Trust? 300,000 or 400,000?
I think it's a little more than that. I think it's closer to 5 or 6.
So if the Affordable Housing Trust bought a lottery ticket 2 or 3 times a week,
Yeah.
You gotta win first.
I will run that by the treasurer as to whether that's an authorized expense.
Who's that, Molly?
Town treasurer. Okay. Approved minutes. We have minutes of 4/7, 2/3, 1/20, and 5/5. Those are all 2026. We also have 12/2/25 and 11/18/25 minutes that were distributed.
Caleb,
Motion to approve.
I will
Yes.
make a motion to approve minutes.
and I would second it and say Caleb did a masterful job.
Any corrections on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor, roll call.
Done, aye.
Dwyer, aye?
Maximowski, aye.
Parmar muted.
Zagrodnik, aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Parmar, aye.
Okay, we do have our monster payroll, our, let's see, second quarter stipend, $575 for the planning board.
Split that 8 ways.
Might be our last, I think it's our last one.
Last one of this fiscal year.
We're not budgeted in the next fiscal year.
Oh, yes, we are. Under land use.
Aren't we higher paid than the select board?
You are the highest paid board in town.
No, that is the ZBA.
Oh, really? They
Yeah.
get paid too?
But I think all the stipends have been removed from the budget.
The intent is to, I know that. So
I'll make them up. So what was the 575? I'll make a motion to pay 575. Who seconded that?
I will.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, roll call.
Done, aye.
Dwyer, aye?
Maximowski, aye.
Parmar, aye.
Zagrodnik, aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
We don't have to recuse ourselves?
Nope.
What?
We're all in the same pot.
Yes. Well, at the annual town meeting, our budget for we didn't get a breakdown, but our budget is the same as it was for 2026, 2025-26. So I'm assuming we still get a stipend. I haven't seen a detailed breakdown. Anyway, okay. Other business. Anybody have anything to discuss? Any questions? Other business.
Randy, I almost wrote you in today under Housing Authority. Wouldn't you love me if you got 1 vote and you were now on the 3-year housing?
it's funny you said that because I thought about that same thing, not writing myself in, but there's nobody running. You write one person in, they win.
No, they need a minimum vote.
Oh, do they? Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Years ago, there was nobody running for Park Commission, and somebody was running as a write-in, and this goes back, oh my goodness, 30 years at least. And the town clerk told them they needed a minimum at this time. I think it was either 8 or 10 votes, and that's based on some recent town election or something or other, where you need 1% of that election to win on a write-in ballot.
All right, so good. I'm not in. Thanks.
So, but if we all got together and
Yeah.
a few others, then you'd be you'd be on the hook.
Polls are closed.
I have nothing else. Mr. Wishkevitz, do you have anything?
He's muted.
It's not.
I'm here, but I do not have anything, and yes, I am here. I'll try to watch the meetings at least to catch up on what's going on.
Okay.
Multitasking here.
All right.
So
Very
the only thing for the future discussion topics that involves you, David, and Kayla as well. Are we going to start having those development team meetings?
There is one June 2nd, I believe.
Yeah, June 2nd.
Yeah, Bill, I sent out an invite.
Oh,
If
okay.
you didn't receive it, let me know and I could resend it.
But otherwise, lots of topics then.
Jim, just before we do resign, one of the discussions before the ZBA is the North Hadley Hall. Did we make that a special zoning area once upon a time?
No.
No, it's
No.
good. I thought,
It's in a limited business district. That's it.
okay,
So the only thing that we did was in the senior housing, we said it could be located in the senior housing overlay district or existing structures wherever located.
okay, that's what I.
They could convert that to senior housing without being too big of a deal. But if they want to put anything else in there, then they need a zoning variance.
But this
Yeah, they want-
sounds like they want to expand it, but that's the zoning board of appeals decision.
Right. If they wanted to put in senior housing, they could do it by special permit from the planning board. If they want market rate housing, it's by variance from the ZBA.
Thank you, Bill.
Okay.
Bill, Thursday?
I'll give you a call tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. No,
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion and second. Roll call.
Done. Aye.
Dwyer, aye?
Maximowski, aye.
Armor, aye.
Radek, aye?
Motion passes 5-0. Meeting is history. Thank you.